Hey, hey, hey. Hey, loves. Yeah. Today we are going to be talking about overcoming self-doubt. So this was a topic that was actually requested. So, of course, I want to make sure that I went ahead and gave the people what they want and give y'all this topic, elaborate on it, touch on some things. First, before we even do that, let me tell y'all one of the reasons why I really love this topic about overcoming self-doubt. We don't even think about what self-doubt even truly means. I can remember when I was growing up, it was always a thing, like the women, was supposed to go to medical school, and that's just what women did. We just grew up. If you grew up in the 80s and 70s, 80s and beyond, right? Like 80s and before, all right? So before the 80s and up to the 80s, a lot of women was taught that, women was supposed to be in the medical field, and that's just how it was. So I can remember for me, let me get this. I didn't even finish high school. I got my GED. So for those that don't know, I did not finish high school. No, I did not, because I got pregnant in high school. So I had my first baby when I was 15. So I dropped out of school when I was pregnant with my first child, for those of y'all that don't know. And then I didn't go back to even get my GED until, I got my GED, like my youngest son is 21. So I want to say I had to get my GED maybe 18 years ago when I got my GED. When I got my GED, I was so excited. I'm like, yeah, And then the next thing, because we was always taught that you go to college. Me, I was always an entrepreneur. So I never really wanted to go to college. I just always knew that I had a big dream and I wanted to change people. Like I wanted to uplift mindsets. I always loved inspiring people, even though I didn't realize it at that time. But I always loved inspiring people. But when it came to once I got my GED, it was like, okay, well, I guess I should go to school for, in the medical field. So it was medical administrative assistant. At first, I'm like, well, maybe I should go for that, because that was just what all the women was doing. All the women was going for medical administrative assistant. They was going for nursing. They was going for LPN. That's just what women did back when I was coming up. So that was what I did. I just jumped on a bandwagon, not, okay, well, I didn't it wasn't even a question of what I should go to college for. It was like, well, I'm a woman. This is what women are supposed to go to college for. They're supposed to go to college to be helpers. And I genuinely wanted to help people. I was always the type that genuinely loved helping people. I loved inspiring people. If you've been around me, that's just me. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that I'm always holly happy and holly jolly. I have my days too. I'm not going to say I'm perfect, because I've had my days and fair share of things as well. But for the most part, I was always an uplifter, always an inspirer. I always want to see people do good. I always would help in any way that I could. So for me, I thought that, well, I could see why women go to school to be in the medical field, right? So that's what I did. I went to school, and can any women relate to what I'm saying so far? Did any women feel like they just had to be in the medical field because that's just what women do and that's just what we grew up believing? I know that was just me. So if that was you and you can relate to this part, put that in the comments. Let me know if that was you. But that's just how it was for me. So as time go on, and I'm like, okay, I'm in the medical field. So I can remember when I went to Southwestern and I got my medical administrative assistant. I'm like, okay. And after I did that, I moved to Erlanger. And then I could remember going to Beckfield for cardio tech. And it was like, man, I was so excited because I was learning everything about the heart. And I was on high blood pressure. And I knew that high blood pressure dealt with the heart. At the time, I just didn't really know how. So once I got in class to become a cardio tech, it was like, wow. It was like I started learning everything about the heart, and I was excited because for me, that was one of the things that was important was learning about the heart, because I knew at that time that I was taking high blood pressure medicine, so I wanted to know everything about the heart. And I've always been like on the journey of wanting to know natural remedies, natural things. I just didn't understand at that time, but that was what it was. So I can remember when I go to Beckfield, and once we got finished and it was time to do interns and things of that nature, I can remember I was doing externship at, it was a nursing home, and I won't, say the nursing home, but I was doing it at a nursing home. And I can remember when I'm at this nursing home, I apologize, not nursing home, at the hospital. I was at a hospital, and I was at this hospital doing externship. And when I was there, we had to draw blood and everything, and I was excited because every time I had to draw blood, I always was able to get the blood. I never had to really I never really had a problem with finding the veins or anything, so I used to be excited. So as I'm doing my externship, I can remember man, I was excited. But also, once I got finished with everything, and I can remember working in a medical field, and for me, I love taking care of the patients. That's just what I did. I loved it. I fell in love with the patients. We became like family. The one thing I didn't love, though, at the time was how other people treated the residents. I didn't like how the people would treat them. I didn't like how they would come in and the way they just did them. I just didn't like it. Some people didn't want to change them, and that's when we was coming to the things where we were just now getting to the point to where everybody wanted to start wearing long nails and all these things. And my thought was, well, if they're doing all this, there's no way that they can be taking care of these people. And I can remember okay, I just went to school and got basically I owe all this money, right? Because when I went to school, I got loans, so I'm owing all this money back. But I can remember thinking that I really never wanted to do this. So now I'm in debt. I owe all this money back. So I left. I left the medical field because it was not for me. And it was not for me. It wasn't because of the patients. The patients had nothing to do with it. See, that's what a lot of people don't know. I didn't leave because of the patients. No, I left because the people, like the way they would do them, and they don't want to keep things clean, and you come in and these people don't clean, you got to clean up behind them, and then it was like if they don't come in, I got to stay, and it was just so much, and that just wasn't me. I knew I wanted to help, but I knew also I was starting to understand that wasn't for me. That wasn't my passion. And so once I left that alone, I can remember that it was like, okay, I left this alone. Now let me just go to the warehouse. Let me go to the warehouse. And I can remember along the way, I kept trying little entrepreneur things. Like I was selling fire extinguishers, and I would do all types of things. And I never truly believed in myself when it came to starting up my own business. I always knew that I wanted to start up my own business. I always knew that I wanted to help individuals. I always knew that I had a passion in me, but I didn't understand how to go about it. The reason why, once I understood now what I was going through then, now I understand what I was going through then, and what I was going through was I didn't understand what self-doubt was. I didn't understand that self-doubt don't come from out there. It don't come from the people you around. Self-doubt don't come from all that. Self-doubt comes from the first word, self. Self-doubt starts with self. I didn't even realize that. So when I didn't even value myself, meaning I wasn't asking myself what I wanted to do. Like I said, I got into the medical field because that is what I was raised that women were supposed to do, right? Like you go in the medical field, you take care of people. Yeah, I want to take care of people, but not in that way. But I did it because I was like, okay, well, that is the way that we're supposed to do it. Then after that, I went to the warehouse because I went to warehouse jobs because I knew it was easy money. It was easy, fast money. So that's what I did. But I always had this thing in me for a long time. And it was like no matter what job I went to, and let me stress this, because if you ever work with me, you know this is true. Every job I went to, I always moved up. I was always great at what I did. And I don't say good, I say great. I've never really held a job where I wasn't really good at it. And I can remember when I'm going to these other jobs, all these other jobs, I'm moving up and moving up and moving up. And I would always say to myself, like, I'm making everybody else money. I need to be making my own money, making myself rich. And I can remember one time where they had promoted me, and I was making these molds. We was making hospital bed wheels. We was making the molds for the wheels. And we had these little tools that you had to go up with the forklift and get them down, and you had to steer them over with the crane and all that. But it was a whole process you had to go through. And so when I got promoted to be the manager, I got promoted over people, especially men, that had been there for years, and they was like upset, right? And I can remember at that moment. Because when I first got it promoted, it was like, man, I was like, I wasn't really sure if I could do it. But when everybody started doubting me, and all these men was just like, well, how she's going to teach us? This is a girl, and she's coming in here teaching us, and we've been here for 20 years or 15 years or 10 years or whatever it is. And I can remember in that moment right there, I didn't even realize it, but it was that moment right there that I understood that I could do whatever I want to do. And now I'm going to show them why they promoted me. And I'm going to be the best me that I can be. I gave myself permission. I went from doubting myself, and I gave myself permission, and I worked awesome. Like I'm talking about, the men started respecting me. They understood why I got the position. I didn't have no problems. Then, once I left that job, I really started believing more in myself. So I'm just telling you how I started believing more in myself. And I can remember I got a job at a warehouse called Networking Industries. And I hadn't even been there that long. I had been there for like maybe a month and a half. I hadn't even been there that long, maybe a month and a half. And I can remember the owners coming in from out of town. And the owners would come from out of town, and it was another guy there. And the guy that was actually running it at the time, and the owners came from out of town, and it was like, and they had a way that they was doing it, but they didn't really have a structured way of doing it. So it was like you putting stickers on these syrup bottles and putting them on a line, and you putting them in stickers on the syrup box, you dropping the bottles in a box a certain way, filling them up, make sure all of them got stickers on them, you put them on a line. Well, everything I do, for one, I have a thing where I don't like touching nothing twice. I don't like touching nothing twice. So I like to have a process. I believe when I say touch something twice, I mean the same process. So that means like if I have this water bottle, right, and I'm putting this label on it. So for me, I might pick it up, slap the label on there, and then my second check might be as I'm dropping it in the actual drink carrier, right? The actual box that's carrying them. So that might be my second check, and then it's gone. Where most people, they might, put it on, put it down, and then somewhere they're picking it back up, checking it. I'm not doing all that. So I had a process, and they were so amazed. So they had gave me like they promoted me like right then on the spot. They was like, they came and watched me. They was like, how do you do that? So I just showed them my process, and then they promoted me. And once they promoted me, I can remember that I was like, okay, so I'm running the warehouse now, and the guy that was actually running the warehouse actually left. And once he left, and I won't say his circumstance, how he ended up leaving, but once he ended up leaving, then I ended up running the warehouse, to make a long story short. Now, when I say running the warehouse, y'all, I was running the whole warehouse. Nobody was nobody in Cincinnati was over me. The owners stayed in Florida. So the only people here that was in charge was me. That's when I really knew. And I started like, okay, if I'm going to run this warehouse, I had to make sure if the forklift man wasn't there, I was running the forklift. I was getting the product. If the assistant didn't come in, I had to make sure labels was printed. If the trucks was coming, I had to make sure that I would load the trucks. If nobody was there to load them, like I would do everything, make sure that we had a process on everything, but we also had fun. And I would make it to where like, okay, well, this day we listen to this kind of music. The next day is this type of music. And the next day, but we always switched it up to make sure everybody was able to enjoy themselves. And once I did that, and I still have people that talk about that job, networking industries. If you work for me at networking industries, you know we had a ball. Because some of y'all my friends on here. So y'all know we had a ball in networking industries. But that's when I really knew then that everything that I always doubted myself about, that I could truly do it. That's when I really knew. I knew, but I still had that little bit of doubt there. So once I left networking industries and I left because, you know, they told me that it was another lady there, and I can remember them telling me to write other people up. They wanted me to write black people up. I'm just going to put it out there, and not other people. And I had a problem with that because one thing about me, if you know me, if you ever, you know, worked for me or worked with me, all lives matter. So I never did the black or white thing. It's like, I don't care what color you is, you get wrote up. Everybody gets, you know, has the same job to do, has the same rules. It's not no, I'm going to write them up and I'm not writing them up. So I didn't play that. So when I brought that to their attention, I told them like, hey, you know, I don't feel comfortable writing this person up, but you're not writing this person up when they're never here. They're never even here. And they told me to mind my business. So I told them, you're right. I will mind my business. And I hung up, and I had a full crew. And I'm not proud of it, but I did walk out. I walked out and I left. And the next day I had another job. But that I say that to say this. I went through all them things I'm telling y'all because I was doubting myself. I didn't really understand that I was in control of my destiny, that I was in control of where I was going in life, that I was in control of everything that was happening to me. I didn't understand that. Why? Because the first thing we got to understand about self-doubt is it starts with self. I was so worried about when I went to medical school, what I was taught, what everybody else told me I had to do. When I went to the warehouse, it was because, you know, I heard everybody, hey, warehouses got great jobs. You know, that's what I was told. You know, that's what I see what everybody else saying. Then I left there and went to another job. And I just want to tell y'all, by the grace of the Father, you know, the universe has been so great to me. I left my job, I think it was end of February. And I haven't been back. And my last job, I can remember telling everybody that, you know, it was getting too much for me and I was about to leave. And they like, you gonna leave? You just gonna walk away? And I'm like, yeah, this job is holding me back. And I left. And once I left there, y'all, and I really, truly, like, gave it my all and started believing in myself. And I can't even say my all. But once I truly start believing in myself, everything just started changing. Things start coming to me. I start understanding that it was because of me. Reason why? Because guess what? I started listening to things that was different. Things that aligned with what I wanted to do. I start making sure, okay, well, if it's not working for me, I cut it off. People, places, or things, it don't matter. I understood that, guess what? This life is about me. See, a lot of times we don't understand self-doubt because we worried about everybody else. We worried about what Facebook say. We worried about what Instagram's going to say. We worried about what our friends going to say. We worried about what our parents going to say. We worried about what our kids going to say. That's why you doubting yourself. The only time we doubt ourselves is because we worried about what everybody else think. Did they think I'm going to look stupid? Am I going to look right? Am I going to fumble? If I start this business, is it going to make it? Dang, I don't want them to see me starting it and I don't succeed. We so worried about everybody else. Instead of saying, well, you know, I want to start this business. I want to, you know, I'm going to align myself with the people I need to align myself with. I'm going to be in the places that I need to be in. I'm going to cut out things that don't align with what I don't want to do. When we start doing these things, that's when we going to understand what self-doubt is. But right now, a lot of people ain't understanding what self-doubt is because they ain't even started with the first step, and that's self. You can't understand self-doubt if you still looking for a TikTok. If you still looking for TikTok to tell you who you is, then of course you got self-doubt. Prime example. TikTok just went down the other day. So much self-doubt hit online. And y'all like, oh, I believe it was this TikTok, this and that. Let me tell y'all how much that TikTok let me know how much we doubt ourselves as people. People said, oh, I love TikTok because TikTok was so positive. They were so this, you know, and I learned so much on TikTok and this and that. And so this is the problem I had with that. Because that let me know right there, because I didn't even know, and I have a TikTok. I didn't even realize that it was down. I didn't even know. I'm not scrolling these apps 24/7. Now, I do scroll Facebook more than I scroll TikTok, but I didn't even realize that TikTok was down. And then when I did know it was down, I was okay with that. I said, okay, well, we got to move it around. I need to focus more on this and that. Get more of this. But so many people was talking about, oh, I learned so much from there. I know how to cook from there. Oh, my gosh, it was so positive. And I'm going to tell you now, if that's the most positive that you got in your life is TikTok, put your phone down. You need to just stay offline and go outside. Start going to some networking events. Start going to some, they got regular events, sisterhood events, brotherhood events. But they got some events out there that we as people can start going to so we can connect in person. Ain't no way that TikTok should be the most positive thing in your life. Ain't no way you're going to tell me that you can only learn from TikTok. That's crazy to me. How many people was really about to go crazy because of TikTok? And it says to me that a lot of it was people my age. And this the thing, people like, oh, well, you know, it's just like you make millions or you do this or that people making money on there. I'm going to tell you now. And I agree with somebody that's my friend that said this. You cannot depend on just an app. I like to make money, but I'm telling you now, I'm not going to put it all my eggs to where I can only make money on Facebook. I can only make money on TikTok. Don't get me wrong, if I start making a lot of money, they cut it off, I might be like, oh, man. But I'm not going to get that upset to where I'm about to cry because we should be knowing, putting our money somewhere else. If you ask me, it was a test to see how much do we believe in anybody else but ourselves. And when TikTok went down and everybody went crazy, it showed me how much we doubt ourselves. You mean to tell me that we doubt that we can't have nothing else positive because TikTok left? We doubt that we can't learn nothing because TikTok left? That means a lot of people ain't picking up a book. A lot of people ain't got nobody positive in their life that they talking to. And I speak on this all the time. Well, a lot of people don't understand this. This is why I say, this is why we have self-doubt. Because we looking for an app to give us positivity. How you about to go crazy because the app is out? I don't get it. And for those of y'all that don't know, I deleted the app because it was down, so I had deleted the app from off my phone, and now I can't even get TikTok back or CapCut back. And I love me some CapCut. But I'm not about to cry about it. It's okay. I deleted it. Guess what? If I want to go on TikTok, I guess I got to search it and click in and log in and do it that way. It's okay. It's other ways. And if they just cut it down and I can't log in, that's okay too. But what people don't understand is TikTok is the reason why we can't even, our attention span is so short. Look it up. Our attention span is short. Most of the time, guess what? A lot of people, we had attention span longer than 3 minutes and 2 minutes when we didn't have TikTok. Oh, they mad at me now. What she mean? Before we had Reels, TikTok started Reels. That's why everybody Facebook and Instagram got Reels, to keep up with TikTok. Your attention span is 2 to 3 minutes, but everybody mad. Everybody's mad when they taking your attention span away, meaning you can't even focus on nothing for long periods of time. That TikTok is taking away your focus, which is the main thing you need if you need clarity in your life, especially if you want to overcome self-doubt. How you going to overcome self-doubt if you constantly scrolling, if you never take time to focus? If you never, because if you ain't focusing, you don't even know what you doubting. How can you focus on, okay, if I'm doubting myself, what am I doubting myself about? How am I doubting myself? Why am I doubting myself? Is these things true? How can you do these things if you don't even take time to focus? That's why a lot of us, more and more, we are on our phones. Every day we are more and more on our phone. How many of y'all is more on y'all phone than y'all ever been in y'all life? How many of y'all, when y'all wake up, ain't even brushed y'all teeth, but y'all be on y'all phone scrolling? How many of y'all's on y'all phone from the time y'all go up to the time y'all go to sleep? How many of y'all, do y'all know that we ain't even supposed to be on watching no screens before you go to sleep? You shouldn't have no screens that you're watching, but we do it. Why? We ain't even asking ourselves why. Y'all don't understand that this right here is why we're having a problem with focusing. This right here. How can people overcome self-doubt if we worried about a TikTok app? How can you overcome self-doubt if you depending on TikTok for everything? I'm going to tell y'all, everybody was talking about how positive it was. I don't know, are y'all watching documentaries? Do y'all watch documentaries? Are y'all paying attention to statistics, or are you just going by your experience or what you think? See, this is why we can't overcome self-doubt. We don't even look into facts. We don't even check into stuff. Everybody just, oh my God, TikTok's down. It was like a big joke to everybody. To me, it was like, ding, experiment. That was them just trying to see, just experimenting. That's how I looked at it. Hey, so we're going to experiment to see who all can we control. Because I'm going to tell you now, all them people that was on there worried about TikTok, them the people they can control. And y'all might say, oh, they can't control me. They already do got control over. You worried about a Facebook app. Because I'm going to tell you right now, if y'all, I'm going to tell y'all now, I'm on Facebook. I love me some Facebook. Yes, I do. I'm on YouTube too. Queen A Speaks. But I also want to tell y'all this. If they shut me down, right? If they shut me down, I mean, I'm not on Facebook and I'm not on YouTube. You can find me. What they say, what the little girl say, find me outside. How about that? Find me in real life. I'm in Cincinnati, Ohio. Find me. Come and find me. But that's how these things have to work. Why do I have clarity about them things right there? Why am I okay with TikTok, with not having an app on my phone? It's okay. I deleted it, came back. I was like, man, I deleted it, but I guess I can't get it in no more. I guess I got to just do what I was doing. That's fine. Make it work. Tell you now, it's like they programming us to be, this is where we want y'all at. Let's flip the switch. Like, what's that song? I can flip the switch. So they flipped the switch and they flipped it back up. They was like up and everybody's like little roaches. It's back on, it's not gone. They was posting, y'all, it's back up. Oh my God, y'all look, it's back. Y'all look goofy. Y'all like doing exactly what y'all want them to do. I mean, doing exactly what they wanted you to do. That's why we have self-doubt. Because the more we are online, the what? The less confident we are. The more frustrated we are. The more jealous we are. the more doubtful we are. Think about it. Think about this for a minute, right? You could be feeling so good about something like, man, I just crushed it. Ooh, boy, I just crushed it, man. I can't wait. I'm about to put this out. It's about to be banging, boy. And you ain't seen nothing coming in yet, but you know you crushed it now. Guess what? Now somebody else posts, and they post their business, and they posting their checks and receipts. Somehow they just made $1 million in, a month or whatever the case may be. And now, guess what? You start doubting yourself. Now all that hard work that you just did, all that praising that you gave yourself, all that congratulations that you gave yourself, right? What happens to it? I can tell you what happened to it. It goes out the window. It leaves. Why y'all think it leave? Because now you doubting yourself. You comparing yourself to them. You comparing yourself to what you see. But you didn't see they struggle. You didn't see them sleeping in cars. You didn't see them doing none of that. You ain't see nothing that they had to go through the million times they got rejected. You ain't see that. You just seen the good part and ran with it. Now you doubting yourself. Self-doubt comes from self. It ain't, self-doubt don't come from everybody else doubting you. That's why it's called self-doubt. Self-doubt. Because, see, let me tell y'all something. Y'all have to understand, when everybody else gonna doubt you, and they will. Let me say this, and they will. You have to have a strong belief in yourself. You have to have confidence. You have to have the strength to keep going. It don't matter. And a lot of y'all can't overcome self-doubt because you worried about what your friends think. You worried about looking crazy to everybody. You worried about everybody talking about you. So, of course, you doubt yourself. Man, if I do this, they going to think I'm the odds. If I do this, man, they going to think I'm crazy. So now you doubting your dreams. You doubting your vision. You doubting what you really want to do in life. Why you think it is? Why do you think that you doubt what you really want to do? Think about any time you've ever doubted something, right? Am I going to look stupid? Oh, man, is everybody... It usually has something to do with everybody else, not you. So I want to tell y'all, when I talk about overcoming self-doubt, most of the time people trying to overcome self-doubt, 90% of the time is because you ain't worried about the first word, yourself. You worried about everybody else. Because if we focus more on ourselves and about installing greatness in ourselves, overcoming fears with ourselves, right? Uplifting ourselves, giving ourselves affirmations. When we start focusing on them things right there, just them things alone, you're going to start changing your environment ASAP. That's going to be one of the first things you change, is where you associate yourself at and who you associate yourself with, and also what you listen to. You're going to start being mindful of your words. Much as you might want to cut somebody out, you'll be very mindful. Hey, how you doing? You're going to be mindful of a whole lot of things once you overcome self-doubt. So if you still worried about what somebody else think about your vision, what somebody else think about your dream, what somebody else think about your goals, or you still trying to live life accordingly to how you was raised, you can't overcome self-doubt until you get over take out what everybody else told you. Take that out. And start living you. For you. What do you really want to be? And I call it monkey see, monkey do right now. That's why people can't overcome self-doubt, because we have a lot of monkey see, monkey do. So people scared to be them in this lifetime. People are very scared to be them. Very scared to do what they want to do. Because it's a lot of monkey see, monkey do. So y'all share this. Share this on y'all platforms. There's a lot of people that need to overcome self-doubt. A lot of people is unaware of even what self-doubt is. But for my people out there, I really want y'all to understand the first key to overcoming self-doubt is to focus on self. Get them thoughts out about what everybody else gonna think about what you gotta say, what everybody else gonna think about what you want to be, what everybody else gonna think about what you want to do in this lifetime. Because I'm gonna tell you right now, as soon as I stop worrying about what everybody else thought and what everybody else felt, and that means job, kids, it didn't matter. Once I start, forget what everybody else think. Because if I really thought about what my job thought when I did have one, right, guess what? I would still be there. I would still be there if I cared about what they thought. Oh, man, they gonna think I'm crazy. They might not even take me back. I might not find another job making that much. If I really cared about all them thoughts, I would not have started believing in myself. I still would have had doubt in my dreams and my visions and me being a speaker. Because I'm going to tell y'all, I had self-doubt for years of who I genuinely and truly was. Why? Because I focused on what everybody else wanted Queen A to be. I always knew Queen A was in there, but I never focused on her because I always wanted to do what everybody else wanted to do because I didn't want to make nobody else mad. I don't want to hurt nobody else's feelings. I ain't want to do that. So the first step to overcoming self-doubt is to worry about self, not nobody else. A lot of y'all worried about, what y'all parents gonna think, what y'all kids gonna think, all this. The first step to overcoming self-doubt is to worry about yourself. Because until you get yourself together, you can't help nobody else. Until you get yourself together, you can't do nothing for nobody. Nobody else. It don't matter. Because you won't be doing it with pure intentions. You won't. You'll be doing it because they want you to do it. That's it. Not because you genuinely want to. See, because when you overcome self-doubt, you learn how to say no to things that don't align with what you don't want to do. If it don't align with what you want to do, you learn to say no quick, so it don't matter. Y'all better understand what overcoming self-doubt is. So that's what this is about. So that's what I want y'all to understand. So somebody said, well, I want the video overcoming self-doubt. Well, this is it. The first key, first step to overcoming self-doubt is to worry about self. Not what TikTok doing. Not what Facebook doing. Not what Instagram doing. Not what YouTube doing. Not what your grandma wants you to do. Not what your parents and kids. The first step to overcoming self-doubt is to worry about what you want to do. What is it that you yearn for? For me, I always yearned for helping people. For me, I always yearned for, uplifting people. That's something I always wanted to do. I just didn't understand how to do it. Why? Because I was still holding on to what everybody else wanted me to do. I was still holding on to the American dream. Right? Now, the American dream is good for a lot of Americans. It just wasn't my dream. So don't get it twisted. I'm not saying like we need workers as well as we need entrepreneurs, because the world can't function without both. Unless we do the barter system. But in this way we live in, it can't function without both. So that's all I got for y'all. Share this video out with others who may really need to know how to overcome self-doubt, because they not sure of what even self-doubt is. Self-doubt is when you're worried about what everybody else feel about your life, your visions, your goals, your dreams. And to overcome that, the first thing is to be worried about yourself. All right, my name is Queen A. I hope y'all got something from this. If y'all really enjoyed this video, make sure that y'all are following me. Y'all can also subscribe to me on YouTube at Queen A Speaks. Also, all right, and remember this. If nobody else loves you, y'all already know Queen A does. Later. Mwah.